The time is just gone 17 minutes past 9 as we head towards the second half of this morning's edition of News and Views. If you have just tuned in, we welcome you to the show. And still to come on the show this morning is taking a look at Nazreen Ebrahim, named amongst 100 brilliant women in artificial intelligence in 2023, and also taking a look at ahead of the weekend. We're going to keep it a bit light this morning as well to talk about perfecting your braai skills this morning, and also one or two other issues that we will be discussing regarding Palestine and providing you with the latest update on the genocide that is unfolding in Gaza. But right now, we're talking about women in AI ethics, WAIE, and this was the annual summit that was held in New York recently. This is a global initiative to increase recognition, representation, and empowerment of women in AI ethics. And this started off in 2018. And we must say that it is an honor to have someone from amongst our very own from South Africa, from Durban, and moving into this global arena and being recognized, none other than Nazreen Ebrahim. And she is a specialist at NAS Consulting International. Nazreen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Up front, I'd like to say Mubarak. Congratulations to you.
Walaikum salam. Yeah, it's a pleasure to join you on the show today. Salams and greetings to all the viewers on YouTube. I appreciate the good wishes, and it just means we've got to work harder for the new year coming up. Having made the list now, the hard work begins once again.
Well, it's taken a lot of hard work and dedication from your side to get to where you are at this point in time. And let's just take a step back, Nasreen, and let's just understand, give us some background, some context into, where you are right now and what has it taken for you to get here.
It's nice always to reflect on the journey. Right now, I run a Comtech solution business. Part of that journey is helping customers understand what third-party AI tools can do for their businesses in terms of productivity and marketing. The other component of that portfolio is running extended and intensive public education programs around AI, AI for good, technology for good. And the ethics component is a relatively new conversation, but it's one that's getting increased importance as you see the EU has just passed the landmark AI Act, which went through in the course of yesterday and today, around what it means for artificial intelligence to be at play in the public space and what it would mean for an end user. The journey started in an interesting way back in 2018, towards the end. I had attended a web summit in Portugal, which is a massive technology summit that happens every year and attracts players from all around the world. I had an opportunity to have a very short mentorship session with a VC, a venture capitalist from San Francisco, typically what you would call the Bay Area or Silicon Valley. And after hearing my story of what kind of business I ran at the time, it was just purely communications. But my interest has always been in technology and what it would do for humanity. Said to me, why don't you go back to South Africa and work in the technology for good movement? And subsequently, I came back, started extensive research into what AI means, and sharing that knowledge through articles. A lot of the media work that I do now, radio, television, but also having an opportunity then to speak in national and international spaces from our region specifically, presenting our view and the capability from our region of what ethics means in the artificial intelligence space. And that has grown alhamdulillah over the last couple of years. What I think is important to note in that is that it was very fortunate, with Allah's grace, that the positioning of being a woman in communications, a woman of color, but also more importantly, a Muslim woman in the field of communications, but bridging that at the intersection of technology brings a unique niche of perspective and diversity that is welcome and recognized. And this is what we have to do. When I say the work continues, is that that kind of voice needs to be always on and at play in all spaces, both at the national and international.
Yes, but also, Nazreen, when we look at the world today and even recently looking at what is unfolding in Palestine as well, we find that AI is featuring a lot more and looking at, what has been actually playing out and also in terms of linking it with ethics as well. And that has become a major talking point, it's become a huge discussion and debating point as well.
A massive debate point. And the reason for that is, take a simple, we all are digital citizens. Part of our work is one of our mandates at our business and the not-for-profit technology research organization that we run for socially acceptable is to build a responsible digital citizenry. What that means is that people become empowered to understand the services that we use online and transact through daily, whether you're using Google as a full service from a calendar to maps to having a profile for your business or for yourself, and across every other ecosystem, if it's Microsoft, Amazon, all the social media platforms, you know the drill. The understanding is that we have an increased responsibility to ourselves, but to the communities around us, and as users, to understand where our data sits, who owns that data. These are important questions to ask, and what happens in the value chain of people interacting, moving from real life into the digital world, and what does it potentially mean? There are questions around, if we bring it back home before we move to an international focus, around a simple example like if I transact with my bank and I apply for a loan as an example, or any kind of credit facility, are there elements in the decision making process that's tied to the credit scoring that sits with someone like Experian or TransUnion? And is that algorithm that's sitting behind it have the potential to disadvantage me or discriminate me based on a few characteristics? Those characteristics can point to race, gender, postal code, my level of education, my potential to spend, my current earning power, etc., etc. And those markers of what makes me a person or makes you a person are interesting to note because this then leads to the question of diversity. Why diversity is incredibly important in the output of what these services mean to us, especially when private sector organizations like a massive bank, insurance business, any institution that we are using the service of is putting together these services using an algorithm and then allowing us to use them. What does it mean in terms of ethics? If we look at the international focus, we are very much aware of the genocide that is happening in Gaza at the moment, and we are seeing the mobilization of um, citizens across the world from every sector of society who are questioning what it means for us to consume news. We understand right now that generative AI has a massive role to play in generating some of that news, putting together elements of news, mainstream news, be it video, voice, images, text, and what does it mean paired with the real live voices that come from dissenting sides. This is important to know right now, and we're seeing at play the mobilization of global citizens fighting for the good side. They're on the right side of history, is what we are seeing. We are seeing a real life example.
Yes, Nazreen, I try actually to steer clear away from the gender debate, but this is clearly something that I think you've made a comment on as well. Obviously, you are amongst the elite as far as AI is concerned, the AI elite, but also with regard to a male dominated industry. For want of a better term, as well. And, where does this actually place you? And I think you've made the statement and I'm sure it actually speaks volumes in terms of what you have achieved to get to the stage where you are classed and considered as amongst the elite.
Jazakallah for asking that question, and I think it's an important one. I want to make a point around. I attended the lecture, the annual Nelson Mandela lecture, that the guest speaker was Malala Yousafzai. It was in Johannesburg about 2 weeks ago, and the theme was leading the way for a just future. But the entire conversation, from Malala's perspective in her lecture that she delivered, was around gender equity, gender equality, and the call for the intergender apartheid. Her entire focus was around getting groups around the world, and of course we are a South African audience, to support the cause of the Afghani women against the Taliban's very hideous and restrictive rule against them, the regime. Now, while that is an important subject, we have no doubt that we will fight every cause that requires just output. The glaring issue at hand is the one around the Gazan genocide. It is clear as day to see. There is no misjudgment or conflict in anyone's mind around what is happening against the Palestinians. Israel is currently executing on a genocide against Palestinian people, and the ethnic cleansing is clear to see. Now, the gender debate that they talked about was around women having a fair voice against the male perspective around the world in every respect. We know that women make up the workforce globally, according to multitude of reports coming from the World Economic Forum, the IMF, and a number of other international organizations around workforce being massively underpaid. These are women. They are in caregiving roles and in other roles that require more manual approach, including working across the board in agriculture, in every sector that requires a more manual approach. But if you bring this back home, the argument here, which I wanted to have, I wanted to highlight with the speakers there, although we did not get a chance, is that gender apartheid uh, begins with what we are currently seeing in the world. France aims to ban the headscarf in all public service environments for any public sector worker. Women in general, we have found, and as a woman myself, I have experienced, that is more most of the time, I would say 80% of the time, we face discrimination from women in the workplace than we would do from men who are becoming our allies slowly in the workplace, becoming sponsors in the boardroom. So the conversation around gender apartheid is great, needs attention, and this is why our voices are important in spaces, particularly in the tech economy. But using that example in and I wanted to bring that example to the point, but it's disappointing to note that Malala had a platform. I did not use it to voice concern around the very issues that are happening right now in the world. The genocide that we never thought we would live to see is currently happening. But gender apartheid, of course, is around that. And the issues that need to be tackled are far greater than just calling for an end to gender apartheid. It needs to begin with us at home.
Yes, and I think what you say is very, very true because when we talk about gender apartheid and when we see what is playing out in Palestine, and I recall a statement that one of the former prime ministers of Israel, Ariel Sharon, had made, and he made the statement saying, "I hate the Palestinian woman more than anyone else because she's given birth to that thing that stands up to the might of the Israeli army." Now, this is the reason why we are not surprised to see the untold brutality and the savagery with which women, children, and innocent people are being massacred. And again, we're coming back to the whole issue surrounding gender, and you can see where the target is. The target is the mother. The target is the mother of that Palestinian child.
And I could not have articulated better than you have at this point. But if you look at conflict or violence to uh, institute violence on someone or to hurt them in the place that would hurt them the most is to take away something that's dear to them, not to hurt them themselves. And this is what you see clearly at play in Israel's attack on civilians. They're taking, there was a recent, I think it was, thank you very much, in the Bali camp, refugee camp, where the men were kidnapped, stripped, and then put on display. Some of them facing extreme atrocious torture, and for their wives and their children to see this. That is one example. The next example is the death of thousands of children. For any parent, I'm sure, I am not a parent, but I understand and empathize that the fact that the greatest loss for any parent is that of their child, not of anyone else.
Yes,
So to
Nazreen,
hurt someone,
just finally, Nazreen, a way to from here for you.
a way forward is to continue the work that we are doing, especially representing the Muslim community. As a Muslim woman, in hijab, as well as being a communications expert, bringing the perspective of what these narratives mean in the world, especially from a technology and communications perspective. This is important. It means that women have a voice in this industry, in this sector, and they will continue to do so with the work that we are doing right now and doing the groundwork and uh, leveling the playing field so that other women have an opportunity to have a voice. And it's women from every sector of society, not just if you come from privilege or whatever it might be, but every woman has an opportunity to have a voice. Now, just as a last call and giving a voice to people, I just want to make a note to listeners. My family and I have long supported the Phoenix School Bus Society. I just want to let listeners and viewers know that their annual fundraising dinner is coming up on the 6th of January. This will aid in building 10 residential units that will help the masjid and the society become self-sustaining. They are based here in Phoenix and Durban. We have done extensive work with them over the years. And they service not only the Phoenix Muslim Cemetery, but do hamper drives, run classes for adults and for children, dress-up classes, and do a whole host of other community service activities that require our investment and our support. If anyone would like to buy tickets for the dinner, they can contact 083 786 0881. That's 083 786 0881. And please, you can contact me on socials and check in with me for more about the Phoenix Scuba Society and the other ministry.
Well, Nazreen, Jazakallah khairan so much for that. Once again, you've done us proud, you've done South Africa proud as well, and you've done
I
yourself
appreciate
proud
that.
as well. And we must say once again, we congratulate you on your accolades and what you have achieved. And we thank you. We say Jazakallah to you for taking time out this morning and sharing what you have with us. All the best to you, inshallah.
That's the opportunity, Inayat. Thank you for the sterling work that you do always. It's a pleasure to always speak with you. Inshallah, I'll come back in the new year and have more to share on the work that you're doing. Take care.
Ameen, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Nazareen Ebrahim, specialist at NES Consulting and named amongst 100 brilliant women in artificial intelligence and ethics. And with that, we're going to go for a break. We'll be back.